Hi guys, this is M Seeker of Truth, and I'm here today with Glenn, Charlie Ward's son, and also Darren, or Truth Intelligencer. Hello, guys.
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm very, very well, thank you. So just firstly, from myself and everyone, I just want to thank you guys, especially you, Glenn, for doing the previous interview. It's garnered a lot of attention, and I think it has helped quite a lot of people. So thank you very much. Just to quickly clear something up before we start, some people have been saying, "Oh, now, you're seeking out and trying to get in contact with Charlie Ward's family, etc." Just to be clear on this, Glenn, this is the first time we've ever spoken, right?
This is actually the first time we've ever spoken, yeah, and I've made contact with you guys more than you've made contact with me, so yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so obviously Darren has arranged this between us. So thank you, Darren. And like I say, this is the first time I've actually spoken to Glenn. Even in messaging, Darren has been kind of the go-between. So how did you guys meet first? I know you've been speaking for quite a while. Was that right?
Yeah, do you want me to, I basically got a message from my sister regarding some tweets on her football posts and stuff from various people, and then a voice message that I think we played on the last video from my dad, just basically saying that she should back him, not anything else. So I contacted, I think it sent every single one of you that I could an inbox, or I commented on one of your tweets, and Darren contacted me first back, and I spoke to Darren at length, and now I just said to Darren, because a lot of people have made contact through either Facebook or Twitter or one way or another, I've just said just go through Darren, so we just keep it as one as opposed to everybody coming in left, right, and centre, because it will just get a bit silly.
Well, yeah, and overwhelming, I'm sure.
Yeah, it can be, yeah.
It's been good because we've been able to chat a lot away from the internet and the interviews, and we've spoke about first of everything, Charlie, and just ourselves in general. So it's been good being able to stay like that kind of focus.
You know what? The interview between you two was very so natural. It was obviously just two blokes having a chat about it. And
I didn't realise it was actually an interview. I thought we were just having a chat.
I mean, that's great because it's raw. It's true. It's you're not behind lights, camera, action. You're just having a chat, and I think that how natural that was came across really well. So a few people have said because of that and because of some of the edits that were in the video, and that was really to sort of protect other people.
On my request.
On your request, yeah. But kind of due to that and due to kind of how natural the conversation was flowing, it was kind of a bit. You were talking about one thing and you were talking about another thing, and it was slightly unstructured. So I'm hoping with this interview, we can add some kind of structure to getting to the bottom of the truth and getting the story out. So that's what I'm hoping from this interview. So I've tried to lay out this interview in a way that kind of makes sense chronologically.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a brilliant interview. Again, thank you very much, both of you. But let's see what we can do with this one. And I think that we could really nail a succinct interview. Okay. So, Glenn, let's start off with sort of the early years. I mean, what do you kind of first remember? About your father. Talk to me through. We'll go on to talk about the Plymouth Brethren in a minute, but
I really remember the Brethren when I was a kid. I don't remember that as a child because I think I left when I was about 3 or 4 years old. So,
okay.
I can tell you when I went back when I was about 20. I went back for 3 or 4 months and I spoke to a few people, but it's not from the early years. Yeah.
Sure. So I've got a little video actually. Let's have a look at it. This is what Charlie says about the Plymouth Brethren.
Charlie grew up being a part of the religious cult Plymouth Brethren. This was the same cult that Aleister Crowley was a part of.
Go back to your humble beginnings and the cult that you say you came from. the Plymouth Brethren.
Yes, I come from a Christian background. The Plymouth Brethren, in a nutshell, is similar to Baptist teaching. Very similar, but they've added and taken away things I didn't like. But from a point of view of Jesus loves you, I think that's a good thing to teach people. But if everyone else thinks you're a twat, then so be it. Or everyone else thinks I'm a twat, so be it. Doesn't matter. What people think of me has never bothered me.
As you came out of the cult, obviously you say you were brainwashed, quote unquote.
Well, that's one point that the British don't like you using. They call it indoctrination, which is exactly the same thing.
So you were indoctrinated.
Yeah.
What religious viewpoint did you take after you came out of the cult? Biblically speaking,
I didn't believe in anything, mate. I didn't believe in anything. I went the opposite way.
Right. So obviously, that was Charlie talking to Justice, someone that I've done a few videos with.
Yeah, I've seen him
around it. So obviously, you were one of three siblings, right? So you had a brother and a sister, and obviously your mother and obviously Charlie in this Plymouth Brethren. So you said you don't really remember much.
No, I don't really remember anything like that. I do know the Brethren, and I know how they operate. What makes me laugh the most about this is my dad has had nothing to do with religion since he left there. I mean, this whole thing, God loves you, what he says, or whatever he says.
Jesus loves you.
Jesus loves you. It's an absolute insult. He's been full blown, never had to any shit. He's using it because it's a nice thing. It's like, everyone trusts him. Jesus loves you.
Mm. He even says at the end of the clip that Justice asks him, what religious viewpoint did you have after you left? And he said, nothing. I went the other way. So yeah,
he did.
He's saying
he went the other way. He got tattoos. He's got a tattoo on his arm. I think he's had it removed now. He did loads of different stuff that completely rebellious, and I find it all really cringy. And I was saying to someone the other day when I was talking to him about this, I think he's almost trying to start his own cult now. Mm-hmm. I think he thinks he's like a top leader or something. It's kind of scary as well. Like the more I don't watch anything to do with him. I can't watch anything to do with it. It just makes me repulsed. But you obviously see it. I did watch a little clip here and there, but it's like, seriously, man, the stuff that comes out of his mouth, I've never heard anything quite like it, and I'm shocked that people are buying into this.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's an easy thing for me to say.
Yeah.
He does get a lot of it seems to be mainly women as well, what he gets following him, doesn't it? Middle-aged kind of women more than
following him.
Yeah. It's kind of weird that his fan base
40 plus, and mainly female. Although there's males, there's younger people from all over. But yeah, I'd say that's probably his main fan base. But then again, probably most people that watch my channel are also of the same bracket. So.
Am I talking about some sex icon with another one?
I wouldn't say that, but yeah, I've got I looked at my YouTube stats, and I think it's because of what I do. So people believing in these sort of things tend to be sort of the older end of the spectrum, and slightly more so female. So with what I do as well, I seem to attract the same sort of following, which is good because they're the people that. Yeah.
It's the kind of demographic that would watch. I don't want to sound bad. What kind of watch this kind of stuff? Single parent or parents at home or wives at home that are kind of watching this kind of stuff. I suppose I don't want to sound rude to anybody, but yeah, other people are going through emails and LinkedIn and stuff. I suppose.
I think for me, regardless of whatever the demographic is, whoever it is affecting. That they're the people that I want to speak to. So,
yeah.
So as long as I'm reaching his demographic and the demographic of people like the Fake King and all these other people that are taking money off vulnerable people, as long as I'm reaching the same demographic, then I'm happy man. Because it's why I do what I do. Yeah. So, speaking of which, something I forgot to ask you before. So, what kind of are your intentions? If you don't mind me asking, by doing these interviews, I think you kind of said it before. But is it similar to me that you're worried about all these people? I mean, what?
It's becoming alarming more and more as I talk and as Darren shares information with me, sends some screenshots of what people are saying, what they've done, and what I've opened their eyes up to, etc., etc. So that has become more. My intentions to start with were to basically. I get a lot, as I mentioned in the last video, I get a lot of messages coming through my Facebook, Instagram, and stuff. And they're like, oh, your dad, this and this and this, QAnon, this and this and this and this. And I just don't give two shits. And I, obviously, other members of my family are getting this as well. And they don't need it because they've got nothing to do with them. We have nothing to do with him. So, and he's done a lot to me over the past 20 years where it's not so much, no, it's not revenge at all. It's just, I want to just now tell him just to shut up because you're talking absolute nonsense, and he's done that all the time. But as when he was your father, you kind of have to accept it as that, and you just take it as it. And now I just want to be like, okay, enough's enough. And a number of his friends are kind of seeing this, especially as he's gone, AWOL on this YouTube and stuff. He's just gone crazy.
Well, there must be an element of you guys knew you knew Charlie, right? And it's just Charlie. As he would say, I'm not the Messiah. I'm just Charlie. Whoever said you were the Messiah, Charlie? No. But it was affecting your family and his friends. But now it's gone further afield and is affecting a lot of people.
Be challenged. He hates to be challenged. I was speaking to one of his friends the other day, who challenged him, and he's blocked him from everything. It's like he doesn't. He's got no backing. Yeah, he can talk with confidence. And he can talk a very good story without anybody debating him. But as soon as someone debates him on an intellectual level, the guy crumbles and he goes fierce at people, threats and all that kind of crap. He just can't handle it. He can't handle it. He's got no backbone to this whole facade, basically, I don't think.
So moving back to Plymouth Brethren, just to clear this up, how did Charlie end up leaving the Plymouth Brethren? What is the actual story behind that?
Right, okay. There's two stories. One from my mum and one from my dad.
Okay, let's hear them both.
My mum is a very honest woman, and she always has been, she always will be. She has no reason to lie. Now, my dad said he was fixing a cooker in an Indian restaurant. And after he finished fixing the cooker, he had food with them, and some other brethren walked past and caught him because you're not allowed to eat or drink or anything associate yourselves with the outside world. And he got thrown out for that.
Right.
Or my mum's one was got caught adultery, basically. So he was a cheat. He cheated on my mum, got caught, and then left.
So is this? So you say he left? Was
that up? Is she? She ain't going to start making a story. Oh, he cheated on me. Why would she do that? It's quite embarrassing, really. I wouldn't want to say that. Keep it under wraps. But she told us the truth. So, because the story of an Indian restaurant is a bit Charlie Ward, isn't it?
It's a bit Charlie Ward, absolutely. So just to clarify, what you say, he was adultery. So he was sleeping. So he's a married man sleeping with other women. Two questions I've got for that. One, was it wives of those in the Plymouth Brethren? And two, did he leave?
I would not go into that kind of thing with my mum.
Okay, so did he leave or was he kicked
going
out?
Into the nitty gritty? Sorry?
Leave or was he kicked out?
Oh, he was then kicked out. And then obviously my mum was in with us 3 children. Okay. My dad, apparently, he then started making, wanting my mum to come out. He started saying that, I'm going to tell them that we slept together, which means she'll get kicked out. It was kind of a blackmail situation. She came out eventually with us. My mum does say that's the best thing he's ever done for her, is getting her out of that religion, because it is a tough place to be inside there. And then, he then went on to losing the house that my mum's parents bought for them in a business deal. It just just a roller coaster of events to divorce, really. Business going wrong, dad going out playing snooker, getting drunk, all that kind of stuff. Usual Charlie boy tactics kind of thing.
So, so I'm guessing that would have been mid 80s, perhaps when he left.
I was born 81, so we're talking mid 80s, late 80s, yeah.
So when he's talking, so he the next thing he's talking about, and I'll show you a short clip. He talks about working for Sensomatic, and I know that you mentioned this in your last interview. And during this time, he was a CCTV salesman, you know, and he knocked on the door of a prison, and then somehow got given access, and then was in charge of CCTV and the security of all prisons in the UK. So let's have a look at that.
Charlie states that at one time he was the head of security in all prisons in the UK. Now, if Charlie is telling the truth about this, this is an extremely high-profile job for a timeshare salesman. Just how did he manage to get this job?
Providing advice and systems for the security of prisons in 3 countries.
That was 25 years ago. For 3 years, I was doing the access control and closed circuit television for all the prisons in the UK for a company called Sensomatic. 147 prisons, because that's the maximum break in snooker. That's why I remember there was 147 prisons in those days, and I visited every single one of them. I was given the worst street in Bristol to knock the doors on, which was all sort of Pakistani shops going up Gloucester Road that wouldn't spend a penny on anything. And I just knocked one door on Gloucester Road that nobody had ever knocked before, which was the prison. And Bob Dixon was the governor, who I remained friends with for many, many years. And we started off by doing his visits, which was an area of concern because there was a lot of contraband coming in and into the prison. They wanted to stop it. And from there, the next prison I did was Exeter, which was Toby Newth, the governor, and became good friends with him because they gave me an insight. The two of them gave me an insight to the whole prison service.
Sure.
As to what was going on and where their weaknesses were, and it went from there. And it's very much, you know, because it's almost like a brotherhood, the prison officers association, and they talk to each other and say, "Oh, you want to have a word with Charlie? He can sort out this problem and this problem," and it just grew and grew.
Right. So, yeah. The story sounds mad, and I know that you know you believe, or you know that there's some truth behind the whole Sensomatic thing.
There is some element of truth because I know the owner of Sensomatic as well because I've met him. Because my dad did do well for the company. There's no two ways about it. He did get the contracts for the prisons. Did he design the thing? No. You know, if you went into a shop, you know, a corner shop, you know, news agents, whatever, you would say, right, you want a camera there on the door, you want a camera there on the exit, da, da, da. You know, you can sort of quote that kind of stuff. But to design it for a prison, a high security, you know, where you've got all kinds of people behind them bars, no chance you're going to be responsible for that. You get a design team, a real team of security to get that sorted. Charlie Ward, sorry, but no. Why would you do that?
Darren, did you want to say something here? Sorry.
But I was just agreeing with him. I was just
yeah.
This is mad. You think you're going to design 147 prisons when all you do is know how to sell cameras? You can't be the head of security just because you're good at sales. You can't.
This is the thing. I mean, Charlie's a salesman, and we know this. You know, he spent time in timeshares, which we'll touch on in a minute. He spent, well, it says most of his life. He says he spent on that. He's clearly selling himself and his secret intel now. You know, and he's doing very well off of that. And you know, he was a top CCTV salesman for Sensomatic. Secret intel. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that going forward. But so there must be some truth in that. You know, he worked for as a CCTV salesman. He did very well for them. He is a good salesman. We all know from watching his videos. But to be in charge of the security of all prisons in the UK, and his story is he knocked on the door, and the governor went, "All right, here's all of our security concerns," as the governor of prisons do. "Oh, you're a door-to-door salesman. Come in, let me show you where all the problems are." And then and then go, oh, we're a brotherhood. That word, and it reminded me of. So I'm guessing he went into this job after he left Plymouth Brethren. I'm guessing around that time.
No, you said 25 years. I'm just looking at that. Then I'm 39 now, so that would have been when I was 15.
A bit later, yeah.
No, maybe you're right there. Actually, I was thinking a bit later, but no, actually, it could have been. Yeah, it would have been about 25 plus years. Actually, yeah, he did that. So that was. I think that was the rise of when security cameras were going into the stores and stuff like that. It was like the big thing to happen.
Yeah, it just. I mean, it could well have been true, but it makes me think: how has he got that? Maybe he knew some of these people beforehand. I mean, I just don't see him knocking on the door and being given that contract.
You don't knock on prison doors. You just don't.
No.
You'd have to. I don't care if it's the year 2020 or the 1980. They just don't knock prison doors. You'd have to go in some way or get someone to know someone or something to happen, because the governor doesn't come to the door either.
Because even if you did knock on the door, they're not going to say, you know what, our governor's here, have a word with him. It'll be by appointment, right? It'll be
of course.
That's the way it usually works through leads, isn't it? It's normally through a lead in the company where it's been some sort of inquiry by the prison or the prison service. It's not usually by somebody so you don't knock on a door of any kind of organisation like the prison service.
No.
It just very fishy. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. So that must have been then you say the 90s.
Yeah, it would have been the 90s. Yeah, most likely.
So the other thing is he says that he moved a lot of money around for the elite on private planes. And you had said that you had been on planes with him. Were they private planes?
No, I can't remember Emirates being a private plane, or
Emirates,
Turkish Air being via Istanbul. No, it was not private. In fact, on the way to Dubai from Malaga, you have to do a 6-hour stop in Istanbul. So you have to take first class so you can get into Turkish Air's VIP area, but that's all right. If not, it's a terrible airport. It used to be. They've actually done it up now, but no private jets were taken.
So sorry about that. So no private jets. Then just to be clear, you'd been on maybe a couple of flights with him, and they were sort of Turkish Air public.
Probably been about 20, 30 flights with him. Yeah, Turkish Air, Emirates, into Madrid. Yeah, quite a few. I think I've been to Dubai too many times.
But not one of them was private. All of them were public planes. I'm guessing normal class seating.
Oh, yeah, no. Actually, you'll laugh at this. I got stuck in economy while he took business. So he actually stuck me back in economy while he took business. Yeah, a couple of times.
Really?
Yeah.
So you went back to economy and he was flying business?
On the cod, yeah. On a few occasions. And there's one occasion, which we'll go into another time, actually, where he sent me back with his PGP, which is an encrypted phone. And I didn't know nothing about it. And he owed some money in the 6 figures to some kind of mafia people, and left me to pick up the pieces, which I was getting death threats for and pictures of my family for. But I'll go into that another time, and the way he handled it as well, because that's one of the biggest things he's done to me, and why I really can despise that guy.
Wow, this is yeah. I don't want you to get angry. I mean, I've had people speak to me about some of his dealings. He has actually dealt with certain. I'm not going to say kind of who, but he has dealt with dangerous people. And dealt with money with some dangerous people. And I do know about this, but I don't want to talk about them on air. But to say that you were left to pick up.
Yeah, when I've got a 1-year-old baby or a 6-month-old baby at the time, and a wife at home, and I'm getting pictures of them, pictures of my car, pictures of my house. So we've had to go into a hotel, into hiding. And he's come back from Dubai to, should be going back and being a man and sorting the issue out and sorting the problem out. But no, he gets nearer in Justin, goes off to 2 weeks into England to go to a couple of weddings. And then I'm getting I'm stuck with my family, shitting ourselves, while him and his missus are fucking posting shit on social media and in suits and having the best times of their freaking lives. So yeah,
I'm sorry you went through that. Yeah, that's bad.
No, not fucking bad. It's the most disgusting thing a person could do. Let them to their son as well. That's why I hate him with an absolute passion.
How old would you have been at the time? Around 20?
We're not talking. We're talking about 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're talking recently. Yeah. Be about 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
this is where it all came to a head with me and him.
This is where you fell out, big time.
No, that wasn't that. That was kind of midsummer. It was Christmas. We were having a little bit of a joke back and forth on WhatsApp, and I said, I said to him about something about it was just a joke, just private joke between me and him. And I said it was like a woman joke or something. I can't even remember what it was. It was nothing major. And he just from one joke to another one just stopped, boom. And he had a go at me about being womanizing and all this kind of stuff. I was like, what the fuck are you on about? Where does all this come from? Anyway, and his jokes about women are horrendous. Like, me and my sister cringe like shit when he's online. Like, we just like don't like shit, don't. And then about 2 days later, he says something about women on his fucking feed, and I'm like,
there's a lot of sexist comments from Charlie, and racist ones too.
Oh yeah, he's a huge racist. He's a proper racist, a disgusting twat.
He used to say the P word quite a lot in his earlier.
The N word as well.
Really?
I literally die inside when he does that. It's disgusting. Yeah, but he basically. Yeah, he doesn't care. He's just the way he is. No one's ever going to change him as well. By the way, if anyone thinks they will, it's just
no. But we can maybe change. We can maybe change the minds of people that are putting their heart, soul, emotions, everything, money into him.
And last time, guys, just have a look at what he's saying, and really, does it make sense? Have a little bit of do your own due diligence behind this. Does it stack up? Have a look at some of his past claims and see whether they actually came true. Did they? No, most of them didn't. So, it's kind of
absolutely. I mean, he exposes himself for his own lying. And guys, if you haven't watched yet 30 Reasons Why I Don't Trust Charlie Ward, watch it, because I will show you a little bit of a snippet of some of the stuff he said that didn't come true later in this interview. But that is a place to start. And there, I literally just show him talking, and I literally show the things he talked about not coming true in a lot of it.
Go on. He believes himself. He genuinely believes himself.
I think you're right.
Lie after lie after lie after lie, and he just literally covers up with another one and another one and another one. I think he rehearses it in his brain before he goes to bed. I don't know.
I think he does believe himself. I think you're right. I think he convinces himself of what he's saying, and then he lives that lie. It's like creating a false reality and then living in that.
It's easy to believe. You can make other people believe it if you believe it. If you don't believe it, no one else is going to believe the words that comes out of your mouth. Basically.
It's some great imagination, though. It's his imagination. The stories he comes out with are so crazy to this world.
I'm like, sometimes I sit there like when he's talking about when he used to go to Africa and to these Nigerians and getting all this US stamped dollars over in America, I was like, I said it on the last interview, I was talking to Darren. I swear to God, he gets these emails from these Nigerians, and he's like going, "Do you know what? I know him," and he's probably he's the only one that responds to them. I genuinely think he's doing that because he's never gone over there and come back with a successful deal. I don't know. He talks an absolute load of crap, but he goes over there, gets stuck over there because he's got no money to get back because he's relying on this big deal to happen, and never fucking did. And honestly, I'm like, why are you going to Africa for these $1 million deals and no one can even afford to put you on a flight or in a hotel? And it's just like you're dealing with mugs.
Con men. Yeah, con man being conned by con men, and I think that there is very much that going on
a couple of times.
Let's just quickly show this video to illustrate this. And not only was he saying that he was moving money around for the elite, for politicians, for people with high wealth, but he was also saying, so there was an article that came out when his son, your brother, passed away. And in that article, it said that he was an oil tycoon, and he cleared that up with me. He cleared that up with me in an interview.
My dad sold them stories to the Sun, to the Mirror. I personally believe that they were sold to them, and other members of my family do, because the way they're written, if you read it, the way they're written, it's written by him. It's said by him.
That's
he wasn't an oil tycoon. He never had anything to do with oil.
It's one of those things that he's said somewhere. So I think you're probably right that he sold those stories to the papers, and then later down the line, him saying he was an oil tycoon has come back to bite him when someone like me has come on his interview and asked him about it, and he's backtracked. And I think maybe the same with the Top of the Pops thing, which we'll talk about in a bit. But let's show this video and we'll talk more about it.
Oh God, that's embarrassing.
Let's have a look at this one.
I don't want to be associated with that guy with that kind of stuff.
Let's do one step at a time. Let's check this one out.
Money around for the elite. Charlie states that he was involved in moving large amounts of money around for the elite, people in positions of power and government officials. This instantly rang my alarm bells, and it should do yours.
I've worked behind the scenes with government now for at least 15 years, moving currency around the world. And so I've been doing that for a number of years. I've always been between the super rich and governments. And you tend to find that they're both interlinked. And that's, 20 years ago, I suppose.
Sure.
And it started like that where people needed money. Nowadays, the world is, if it's cash, it's got to be dirty. And what people don't realise is that, there's a lot of dirty cash out there, of course there is, but there's an awful lot of clean cash out there. I've been moving money around the world for a number of private clients.
Wow, Charlie. Are people serious?
Number 5. Charlie brokered oil deals. Back in 2009, the Daily Mail reported on Charlie Ward's son's death. In that article, they described Charlie as an oil tycoon. Now, Charlie denied this, and he'd said in videos that he didn't know where that had come from. Now, when I interviewed him, he said that he wasn't an oil tycoon. He said he didn't know where that came from, but he'd brokered oil deals. And then he seemed startled when I showed him his LinkedIn account, which I'd researched, that said that he'd spent 8 years in the oil and gas business.
It was reported in the newspapers, and it had said that you were an oil tycoon.
No.
Okay.
I've done oil deals because I work at my offices in Dubai, and it has been for the last 12 years. I've done a number of oil transactions. That doesn't make me a tycoon. I don't know where that came from.
You fixed a couple of oil deals. You bought a few
brokered a few deals.
Yeah, but you wouldn't say that you were in the oil business.
No.
In here though, on your LinkedIn, it says that you were 8 years in the oil and gas.
This is brokering deals. This doesn't make you a tycoon.
So, like I said before, I mean, if he did, I didn't even think that maybe he had sold that story to the papers himself. I thought it was fishy. And when, so when I caught him in that, talking to him about it, and I was trying to get him to kind of say no, which he did. I don't know where that came from. And then I'm just like, boom, there's your LinkedIn account. And it says that you're in the oil and gas industry. Oh, well, brokering deals. You don't put that in your LinkedIn account if you're not.
You've just done it on the odds and bods. No, you don't.
Yeah. So to clarify, you think that, why do you think that he sold that himself, that story to the papers?
There's a lot going on at that time, obviously in my head and everyone else's. But he. When we challenged it, well, I was going to go to the papers and take this fucking shit down, talking about my oil tycoon son. First of all, my brother was a self-made man. It had nothing to do with my dad. My dad ain't no oil tycoon. He made his own money. That's why he had that car. That's why he did what he did. And people started to think that I was just some rich kid's son that, got a car and fucking went over a cliff. No, it's not at all that. There's more to that story. And when I was going to challenge it, he We said, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't. He was really adamant not for us to contact them. Now, we didn't at the time because our heads were up our asses, basically. And I just thought, you know, fuck yeah, just leave it. And then obviously, as time's gone by, I've read it back, I've read the papers, you know, I have been, do see all that stuff. Me and my brother were very, very, very close, you see. So, and then I just look at it and I just depict this information. It just screams him all over. It just does.
It's almost
it's all about me.
Exactly. It was almost like an advertisement for himself.
Me. Yeah, that's all it is.
An oil tycoon, this, that, and the other. Like, hang on a minute, it's about
blow smoke up my own fucking ass. Like, seriously, absolute. Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, it's interesting that, and now when you said that in the last interview, I thought, well, that makes sense. Why would these papers suddenly pluck out of nowhere? Oh, he's an oil tycoon.
No disrespect. Me and my brother were just two guys in Port-au-Banús. You know, we'd done quite well at work. You know, we had a few. We weren't anybody to write a story about. Yeah, he had a car crash. Yes, it was quite horrific, but it wasn't going to be UK paper stuff, is it? It's not. When someone had to go to them and give that information. Our ages, all that kind of, the papers won't go, oh, look, there's a crash, let's go cover it. I don't think so. This is I've thought about this a million times, maybe overthought it, but I do think 100% from me and other family members think it was him as well. And it's not just me.
Yeah, very, very interesting, and it just clicked when you said that. It made sense to me. That's why it came out like that. And then then later, when questioned about it, it no longer, because he was being questioned, he was like, oh well, crap. I'm not an oil tycoon, you know. No, I just brokered some deals. I knew some people brokered some deals.
Yeah.
It was kind of backtracking, which he's done a lot of, and I've made videos on this. Guys, go and check out Charlie Ward backtracks for a start on my channel. Okay, we talked about that.
Go on. Sorry.
Yes, sorry. We've talked about that. You know, I've got so many points to cover, and you know, I want to make sure that you have your chance to speak, but I want to make sure that we get through these points and we don't dwell on certain matters. But I think that's the important thing. With that, you know, that's the only thing that makes sense to me, that he sold that story to the papers.
Yeah.
Going back to private planes, you've already explained. Charlie's saying he was on private planes. He was saying that you were on some of them with him. Recently, after you've done your interview, a lot of people in his Insiders Club, are you aware that there's this Insiders Club where people can play 11? Okay, so Charlie closed down his own YouTube channel. He said that he was going to be closed down soon. He was saying it in the interview with me at the beginning. He'd been saying it for about a month. I've already had a strike. They're going to censor me soon. They're closing down my YouTube channel. So we've now made a new website, the drcharlieward.com. If you go on there and you can join our Insiders Club for €11 per month, or €99 per year, and you will get inside information for being a part of that Insiders Club. And once a week on a Saturday, I believe, I will do a Zoom call with all of you and answer your questions, which he doesn't. He comes on this.
His name to Reverend, Reverend Charlie Ward. Do it on a Sunday morning or something.
I'm amazed he hasn't put a PhD at the end of his name or anything yet, but you know. Anyway, this is waking it.
Don't laugh, because he actually had a speaker at one point. I think he had at one point. I think somewhere. When you said it, then he not a PhD, but he had some letters after his name somewhere.
Sounds like
bollocks.
CUN. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so moving on to the private planes. As I was saying, so we went on to the Insiders Club. So I didn't know that you weren't aware of that. That is how he's getting a lot of money off of vulnerable people. He's funneled his following as YouTube were censoring him into his own website, where he lies about how many followers he's got, and we've checked that. People that do.
I had a look at it the other day. 13 million or something.
13 million and 17. Number 17.
17.
Relates to the letter, you know. And So these numbers are being input by the people that deal with his website, the source code, and we know this because it will go 2 weeks on the same number. But not only that, we've gone into the source code and we've seen that is an input value. So people are going on there and go, you know what? How many followers today? 13,017,000. There you go, nice one.
It's a cheap website. It's not a nice website. I looked at it the other day. Someone asked about it. So I just thought we'll have a look, and I just saw it, and I was like, "Oh wow!" Like I would go back and ask for a redesign. It looks cheap.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've been on there, I've checked it out, but you know, he has this insiders club, like I say, once every Saturday, and after your interview, guys, people were obviously the press was hot in his insiders club. What's going on with Charlie Ward's son? What's going on with this? What's going on with that? And then we got this. Can you see that, guys? Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So this is Charlie Ward's Insiders Club. This is his Telegram group for his entire.
Oh yeah, I heard he's got Telegram.
So
look at his thing, yeah.
So what, you know, again, like any of his other platforms, 1,214 members. Yeah, that relates to 13 million followers. You know, I believe he's got 50,000 to 100,000 actual subscribers, which is still a lot of people, but it's not 13 million. So this is his actual official Telegram group. And someone asked just before this message, what's going on with Charlie Ward's son and that interview. And so this person had said, he explained it on Saturday, Insiders Club. Punchline, he signed an NDA when he was moving money on airplanes. He had his son go with him on these private airplanes, apparently. He had his son go with him because of the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement. He was not allowed to talk about his work to his son. He didn't. Now someone has interviewed his son to try and discredit Charlie. A low blow from the deep state.
A low blow from the deep state. Ah, bless him. They actually believe his shit.
They really do.
I think I was described as a pedo protector, wasn't I? After
you were, I was. Anyone that questions these guys are, you know, it's their go-to. They have no intellectual arguments, so they go, you know, they're deep state, they're pedo protectors, they're this, they're that, the other.
Yeah.
And you know, it really, but some people go, oh, right, well, that makes sense. Oh, I want to believe Charlie, but people with actual brains
will always use this because he's got these stories. So, I can't because it's MI5, or I can't because it's non-disclosures, I can't because of this, and I can't because of that, and I can't because of this. You're like, fucking hell, where does this end? When can, you know, you've got a talk show, yeah, and you're talking, you're giving people inside information that you can't fucking talk about. All of a sudden now you can't talk about it.
It's a get out of jail.
But then he does, and then he makes excuses when it doesn't happen, doesn't come true. And he goes, yeah, but I can't tell you NDAs, and we had to change the narrative. And he's even said that the deep state watch his program to find out what's going on with the white hats. So he's even saying that his show, he has to throw people off because the bad people are watching.
I don't know what any of it is, to be honest. I haven't got a clue what all this stuff is, to be fair.
What I'm saying is he's saying the bad people are watching his show, so he has to get things wrong sometimes.
Right? Oh, right. So he's tricking them.
Yes,
he's throwing them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And people believe it. It's,
really?
It's shocking. It's so shocking.
I kind of half want to give them all a cuddle. Like,
I do.
It's going to be okay.
And then a slap, and then another cuddle.
Yeah. Oh man.
But we're doing what we can, you know. And I was joking about the slap, but we're doing what we can, and that is trying to spread this. So this interview will help a lot of people. I can tell you that.
I hope so.
People will watch it, and people watch the last one. People watch my other work. People, even more people, I reckon, will watch this one. And when they see it, and sometimes it's kind of hard, but the more humorous points, us laughing about that, is sometimes the kick up the arse that people need. To go, you know what? That is actually ridiculous. You know, what have I been, thinking?
Please, wake up, guys! Like seriously, dude. Honestly, before you spend another €11 or $99, whatever it is, do your fucking bit. The amount of hour it takes to make that money, just go and do something productive to show yourselves that this is absolute garbage.
Well, hopefully watching this show will be a good investment of their time. Saying about the private planes, this moving the money around and the private planes, this is where Charlie Ward, so he started off his YouTube, he was doing walks. I don't know if you know about this, his early stuff. He was doing a walk to lose weight or whatnot, and he was just on his phone, and he was talking about this, that, and the other. And that's how he started getting a following. And one of the first claims that he made was, oh yeah, back when I was on these private jets and I was moving money around, I spoke to one guy, and at the time I didn't really pay any attention because it's just conversation. But I remembered when this coronavirus started, I remembered them saying we're going to crash the economy. Oh, and then Charlie was like, oh yeah, how are you going to do that then? He was like, you just watch and see. And then after the sort of the pandemic started, he then had contact again with this person from however long ago that had said this on the private plane. And he said, well, we're ready now, ready to crash the economy. You just watch. And this is where he gained his popularity. People go, oh, he has insider information. I mean, disregarding
parties with all the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and stuff, does he?
Disregarding the fact that this has obviously come from someone, if this is true, then he's in bed with people that are making these lies, right? Yeah. So, that to start with. But yeah, he said he's going to crash the economy. That they're going to crash the economy, and he knew about this. And this is where all this secret intel starts from, Glenn.
Okay, right? So that's
So.
It's mad. I'm sorry. I was just shocked with listening to half of this after time. I just can't believe that. I've heard about this kind of stuff on, people buying into these conspiracy theories, flat worldists, and all that kind of stuff, flat earthers, whatever they're called, all that kind of stuff. But to actually see this now, that a member of my so-called family is actually telling people this, and people are actually paying him money when he has nothing to back it up with. It's absolutely incredible. I mean,
he has nothing. He has no evidence, and he's never provided any evidence. However, people believe that he has insider intel, and these insiders are working for Trump, right, and the Trump team. And this is where the QAnon thing plays into it. But yeah, moving on. Yeah. So crash the economy. We said about that. I just want to quickly go into timeshare sales. He said that he said on my show, in fact, I didn't get a clip for it, but on my show and others, he said that he spent a lot of his life in timeshare sales. I think in 30 Reasons, I say something like, not saying that every timeshare salesman is a con man, but I thought it was worthy of letting you know his years in timeshare sales. And he says he spent most of his life in hotel business.
He's over there, because when he was actually moved to Spain about early 80s or whatever it was, no, it had been 90s. Yeah, I moved there in 97, 98. So he was there a bit before that. Now, so when we were kids as well, he was out in Spain selling timeshare, which he wasn't, because he actually had no job. Because I know he didn't have a job, because he declared to my mum that he had no money to pay for child maintenance. So he would send her a check for 1 pence per child per week, and that was all he could afford. So, and my mum, obviously back then, it cost like 20 quid to cash a check at the post office and stuff like that. We were brought up in council estates and flats and whatever. Moved from winter lets to there, while he's swanning it around Marbella, being the big salesman of the year. Which, again, this is something he'll have to backtrack on. Maybe keep an eye on that video, because that will happen.
But yeah, I mean,
he went to prison for non-payment of maintenance as well.
Yes, so he did go to prison twice. Is that right?
Yeah.
What were the two things he went to prison for?
Don't know the second one, but I know one of them was non-payment of maintenance.
Oh, okay. So not looking after his children as he should do, as any father should do. Going to prison for that. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, come on, it can't cost that much money to not go to prison. Like, you idiot. Like look after your children. But the second one, apparently, he'd said was to do with fraud. I think Darren, didn't you mention this in the last interview?
I think you remember him saying something about printing money.
Yeah, it was credit card fraud and counterfeit money, was he?
Yeah, I think counterfeit money that he'd learned whilst he was in prison. For the first
I don't
time.
know how that is, whether that's true or that's just him talking absolute bollocks again, but you never know. You never know. There could be an
Either he's
element
talking
of truth
absolute
to it.
bollocks or he's a dodgy geezer. It's always the same, and either one of those paths could be Charlie because he's just Charlie. But yeah, so did you work with him at some point, like as an apprentice? Like, I mean, did he have a trade or anything at any point?
No, I've never worked for him. I've
No,
never worked for him directly. I've just done, as I just mentioned in the last video, you said to me, okay, we're going to head off to Dubai, we're going to do this. Kind of like, if he's got all the paperwork to say that, I'm jumping on a plane for free. I'm going to go sit in Dubai for a couple of days, faff around, go do some shopping for the missus and whatever else, and just get some bits and pieces done. Why not?
So he never had a trade. He wasn't like an electrician or anything like that.
Sorry?
He wasn't like an electrician or anything like that. He never had a trade.
He had a trade as an electrician. He is a qualified electrician. This is probably the only thing that he does have. He is a qualified electrician. When he left, when he left school or whatever, went to college, did whatever he did. Back then, he was a qualified electrician. I will just give him that. But he ain't no doctor.
He never mentioned
we'll get into that. So this is pre Sensomatic days. He was a qualified electrician. Okay.
It's something he never talks about, though, and never mentions in any of his videos. It's one part of his life that he doesn't talk about.
What did he not mention?
Being an
electrician.
Oh, no, why would you? It's like I said to you. He only flies private jets. He won't talk about certain things.
It's a small detail.
Economy. He won't go to my sister's football matches in the rain down at Newquay, but he'll go to the FA Cup final at Wembley. He only does these certain events, which, gives him that egotistical, smoke up his arse. That's all he does. That's all he wants. It's something big, big, big. Me. No, it won't do anything small. Don't take economy, which he does, but it's just where he is.
It is always about Charlie. He's just Charlie. He's not the Messiah, but it's always about Charlie. And when he started his YouTube channel, when he was only getting 100 or so views, any YouTuber, anyone with a platform, or anyone with any knowledge or common sense will find this weird. When Charlie first started his channel, apart from he was doing the walks and talking to his phone. And then, as he'd started, he was only getting 100 to 1,000 views. Suddenly, he was sponsored by a major vodka brand. Let's have a look at that.
Back in early 2020, when Charlie Ward started his YouTube channel, he was only getting a few hundred views. However, he seemed to be sponsored by Nero Vodka from the offset. I find it shady that a brand new YouTuber would be sponsored by a large vodka distributor.
I'm being sponsored by Nero Premium Vodka. What more can I say?
So I found that really weird because,
anyone... the owner. I know the owner is of Nero Vodka.
Oh, you know the owner?
Yeah. And I know who he is and what he's about as well. So I'm not going to really talk about him either. So respect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. Dodgy red flags, and we'll say no more. And happens to be sponsored because obviously he knows the owner, you know of the owner, and
that's all it is. But the owner has actually, from what I've heard from somebody else, has pulled away from my dad because of the amount of crap that he talks, and he didn't want to be associated with it anymore.
Is that why they stopped sponsoring him?
I believe so. That's only what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, it did stop way before I reported on it, but it was something that was definitely very, very dodgy. Okay, let's move on to the doctor fraud. Let's have a look at that.
Fraud. In his 20s, Charlie states that he ticked the wrong box in his driving licence. He ticked the doctor box. He states that he used this to get out of parking fines. Charlie would then go on for nearly the next 40 years, using the title Doctor in everything from his YouTube channel to official documents to even registering companies in his name. Charlie only then revealed that he wasn't a doctor after receiving pressure from his viewers to reveal what his non-existent doctorate was in.
I can categorically say as well that I've never ever changed my name from the day I was born.
Sure. Not even to doctor?
Oh no, that you know the story with that. That was when I think I was about 20 or 22. I mean, 40 years ago, and my license came through, and I just ticked the doctor box,
Yeah.
and it came back Dr. Charles Henry Ward, and I used it once against a parking ticket, and it came back that the parking ticket was thrown out because I was on call, and it was just me being cheeky in my 20s. I'm 60 now.
Yeah.
So it stayed there all my life. Having said that, I've actually done an online degree in psychology.
No.
But it's very interesting that people who've been to university don't tend to respect if you've done an online degree as a real degree.
You mentioned this briefly in the last interview. So he had said that he'd ticked doctor on his driving license to scam free parking.
You could back until about 5 years ago through deed poll, you could change your name to doctor, to sir, to many different titles through deed poll. You could have different names like Donald Duck and stuff. Now they have strictened up on this a lot. I don't remember like there's that Big Brother and they changed some people's names in there, didn't they, through deed poll? Something stupid. But anyway, so you could do that back then. And I think that's what we did. It only cost like 30 quid to do it. It's a once-off thing. It's done and dusted. And that's what I believe he did. But now you can't do that. You can only get Mr., Mrs. You can change the doctor, but you have to send in a doctorate to show a certificate to show that you are actually entitled to that title. Other than that, yeah, that's it really. I think that's all he did. I don't think ticking a box, you know, is he literally saying the DVLA are a bunch of idiots? Like,
Yes.
like that's all he's saying there.
Yeah.
Like,
back in the 80s, it was easy, and he managed to get free parking from it. In some videos, he said, "Oh, I found out afterwards." I
basically saying
in other videos, he says, "I did it to get free parking." Right?
It's fraud.
But then he says that he got this
lying about stuff and then lying again. He's actually openly admitting it to everyone, and everyone's going, "Oh, that's brilliant."
Yeah, contradicting himself.
Yeah.
And then he's saying that he did an online course and got that certificate.
Yeah, well, that certificate, I want to get. Can anyone get a close up on that certificate? Because that name, if you Google it, it just says it's a bag of shit, really.
The university.
Yeah, the university. It's called Bath. I don't know. Can't remember. But me and my sister looked at it, and as I mentioned in the last video, he got that on my first birthday. Like, it's dated 1982, 9th of August, 1982. So it's like. And I said to him, "Do you remember getting this?" He said, "Yeah." I said, what was it, a special day?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, it was my birthday, wasn't it? My first birthday, your own son." And he didn't remember that. No, he just remembers getting this fake certificate.
So he got it like 40 years ago, nearly.
39.
Yeah.
Right.
36 and a bit years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so he did it. He did it a long time ago, you know. My mum was obviously coming out pregnant with my sister. I was 1. My brother was 2-3 years old. You know, my dad's just going around doing his doctorates, you know, as you do. It all adds up to be absolutely true, you know. I'm sure that's how it goes, isn't it? I'm sure that's no. Because I think he was just running around doing electrician stuff. Because isn't that the time when he was actually still or about to fix the Indian's cooker? Right. Because that's after that, you know, so he's a doctor, but yet he was still fixing Indians' cookers.
I mean, it makes absolute sense. When you've got your
on 50 grand a year, why not go and fix someone's fucking cooker at 10 o'clock at night?
But who will likely get you kicked out of the place that?
Oh yeah, and it goes completely against all the rules of the religion that your whole entire family are in. That makes perfect sense. I see what happened. Guys, keep following him, man. He's honest.
He makes as much sense there as he does with any of his other claims.
Yeah.
Now, look, I know you're pressed for time, so I want to try and fit at least one more conversation in, if that's possible. So let's have a look at this. That, you know, I saw in your last interview, you weren't really you were quite surprised to hear about this, the fake king scenario. And this is what made his YouTube blow up. I mean, this is what made him famous. He later, because this was the thing that I was looking into about this guy not being mine, yours, and Darren's king, and everyone else's. For someone to claim that and to claim they're going to take the throne and have power over us was a big deal to me. Not only that, taking money off people when I smelt something fishy was a big deal to me. This is what made Charlie Ward famous. And after people like myself and Justice and others going into the fact that this guy was not being truthful and his ancestry was not what he said he was, and we talked to his family, we talked to Greg Hallett's family and things, and we found out that he was lying. Charlie then had to admit, oh, I've known all along it was a lie, but just have a look at this video.
A fake king. The apparent King John III. Now, this is a big one. Charlie's big breakthrough came from promoting a fake king, Greg Hallett, who was stating that he was the rightful king of England, as well as holding the title Christ. On doing this, Charlie went from hundreds to a few thousand followers to tens of thousands of followers. He later stated that he was on the fence around this whole situation. However, this is simply not true.
We have the absolute pleasure to be joined today with Greg Hallett, the real King of England. He has a bunch of titles and fulfills all the predictions.
God save Donald Trump. God save our children. And God save King John III.
Charlie later stated that he'd known the truth all along from the beginning, that Greg Hallett wasn't the rightful bloodline to be king. This threw a spanner in the works to this whole narrative and should be a major red flag for anyone listening to him.
And Greg Hallett was getting signs coming to him, and the signs weren't coming to the other guy. So they basically agreed to switch roles. So that Greg assumed the role that he was going to be King John III, and the other guy was going to be the Crown Prince. They agreed. And then they fell out. And that's why all the books of those histories have been destroyed. And I knew that information right from the start. But I just thought, I'm going to give you the airtime and see if you actually tell everybody what has happened. And he's chosen at this stage not to do so. If he chooses to tell everybody that, then I think it would do an awful lot of good. Dave Mahoney knows the truth. Lee Dawson knows the truth. Jack Kidd knows the truth. I'm not going to force him to tell the truth.
At one point, you set up a fundraiser for the king.
I did right at the very start.
David Mahoney is an actor that's been in some B-list movies. He also produced and hosted the Hidden King documentary. This promoted the now debunked conman king, Greg Hallett. Now, if you thought that his connection to David Mahoney was dodgy, you should look into this guy, Jack Kidd. Jack Kidd is a semi-famous polo player and brother of semi-famous Jodie Kidd. He's also the brother of Gemma Kidd, who owns a makeup company whose director is none other than Ghislaine Maxwell. Jack Kidd was also the guy that got Charlie Ward and David Mahoney involved with the fake king Greg Hallett.
Jack Kidd's your friend, and he was the guy that kind of found Greg, put you onto him.
He doesn't look pleased.
So you've known him. I'm guessing you've known him a number of years.
Yeah. He was on the company. He was on the same company which Gemma had.
Yeah, that's right. His name was
back onto there as a director, and I think Ghislaine Maxwell was on there as well.
Also on there, a shareholder, Lord Rothschild, which is quite interesting. Do you know anything about his connection to Rothschild?
Well, I know you know that the families are the Shan Kidds. They're part of the British royal family.
Sorry, say that again.
The Kidd family are linked to the royal family. They're the Shan Kidds, aren't they? Jack was very, very closely linked because of the polo as well.
Yeah. I'm guessing that's what that photo is from, polo.
Yeah, it is. And Gemma was married to one of the dukes or the count of somebody.
So, I've got a couple of questions to ask there. One, you said in the last interview you didn't know nothing about this fake king.
I didn't know. I still don't know nothing about it. I don't, but these kids, the Jodie Kidd, and the Jack kid. I don't know who Jack kid was, but I do know when we went to Barbados about 5 years ago, whenever he got married,
he was staying at the kid's property.
The kid's property, yeah. And we were staying in the one adjacent. And we rented about 7 massive mansions over there. Villas, not mansions. And one of them was owned by Jodie Kidd's mother. Don't know her name.
Jack Kidd's mum as well.
Jack Kidd's mum,
who is friends with Charlie Ward.
I don't know how they got to know each other. I don't know whether he got to know her because he rented the property or whether he knew her from before, because I've never heard of them before. I know who Jodie Kidd is. Obviously, I'm a man. She's fit and she drives really fast around the Top Gear track. And
we're both British, you know. I mean, the US and that don't know who she is, but we do. We were of that age as well.
Yeah, they had a big polo, whatever they call it, pitch there. So I don't know whether he got to know them from that, and that's how it's all stems. But that kind of, now it's all kind of adding up to a little bit to me. I'll obviously do some more research on to how that all started, because I know a lot of people that are involved in the setting up of this. So
I can tell you that they were friends, and so Charlie had started obviously doing these podcasts about conspiracy. Jack Kidd also was in his rich club of conspiracy. He had a group called Squirrels or something. I don't know. Basically, a group of rich people that come together and discuss these conspiracies. But before that, they were friends. They had met. They were friends, and this is how them two being friends ended up with Jack offering his mother's place and the island for Charlie's wedding. Did you go to that wedding? You did. You said.
I did. Yeah, I did.
But did you not meet Jack there?
No.
Was he there?
Jack, until you told that his name popped up. Then
that's interesting. You never knew of him.
I've heard of Dave Mahoney, but I don't know how or why. Lee Dawson, I know, because I used to live on the same estate as him.
Oh wow!
In Marbella, and he's a fitness trainer, and I used to be a fitness trainer in Marbella as well. So I know him from there, but and I think him, and there's Dave
Vickers. Dave Vickers?
No, there's another Dave.
Not David Mahoney, no?
No, there's another Dave. From what I believe, that they were in with my dad at the beginning of this. I don't know for a fact, but I heard something because he used to run Our Space, which is like a WeWork kind of thing in Marbella. And there was a lot of scandal behind that as well. So it's one. This is why I left Marbella. It's just one fucking thing after the next. It's just everyone's shoving everything up other people's asses and then taking the shit out of it. It's like they're just horrible people. They don't give 2 shits about anybody. And I bet you. And when I saw them guys all sitting around my dad's table at his house there, I reckon they're having a right laugh, like selling them Venezuelan money for XYZ. They're going, oh, watch how gullible these people. I bet they're fucking laughing at their own followers, saying how they
laughing their asses off all the way to the bank.
The next pennies off them. Yeah, I bet they're having a right laugh at you. And I honestly do think they're having a laugh at them. That's what I can imagine my dad doing.
I mean, that's awful to think about. You know, them sitting around the table. I mean, I've got another clip of them all sitting around a table. I don't think it is at your dad's place. I think it is at Dave Mahoney's maybe place.
Oh, right, okay.
And they're talking about how Nazara Gazara. This we'll talk about next time. But they're talking about how people. I've just got a message, and this person's had their loan forgiven. Well, hey, it's about to happen, Nazara Gazara. And I think Charlie says only the good people will get it first. And they're all laughing, they're drinking, they're all drunk, and just like in this clip that I just showed, they've all got hundreds of cans of beer around the table. And
That's all they do. A Marbella night sort of is having a piss take, having a laugh, and I guarantee you'll be laughing about how they're taking so much money off these people, these poor vulnerable people.
Before we go, because I know you need to go, and
Yeah,
I have more to let's do another, like you
You
say.
can, listen, I'm
Part
not
two
doing another one. I'll talk to you guys. And you answer any questions. If you find any more questions, just write them down as.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the next part. Part 2 coming soon, guys. If you like part 1, please make sure you join in. But just to ask you, around this king scenario, you didn't know anything. Darren had mentioned it last time. I showed you a clip there. What were your initial thoughts from seeing this guy, this fake king? It wasn't a fake king at the top. Last year, he was very popular. That's how Charlie got popular.
I don't know who this fake king is. I've never heard of it until recently. I don't know the full background. I don't know who the person is. Is it someone I should know or something? Or?
No, you shouldn't. What I'm trying to say is a year ago he was extremly popular. Not as popular as
he's basically done something. It's gone viral, and now he's big something or another.
Well, he had me and a few others absolutely debunking the crap out of him, and then I then looked at the people promoting him, which is how I ended up looking at.
This is the thing. I wanted to know who's actually
kid.
funding all this shit. Who had got it all off the start? Because I know my dad is very scatty when it comes to finances. One minute he gets the money in and he's down Nicky Beach, whacking it out, spending it, paying for everyone, thinking he's like the absolute Don Kahunas. And then then he's broke again. He can't sort of level himself. So there's got to be someone behind this functioning all this. Has to be.
Absolutely, and Jack Kidd's ties to the royal family and other things it is one thing to think about, and also David Mahoney is tied into property scams. He's a property salesman, just like Charlie was timeshare salesman. Very good friends, all around the same area, all good friends, all pushing conspiracy narratives. And you've got Lee Dawson as well, best friends with David Mahoney, who's also in on that.
He was a dodgy character, though. I didn't think Lee was a dodgy character, but then.
Well, why don't you Google him and see what he's selling?
I don't really want to. I don't want to.
Anyway, these guys have all set, and not Jack Kidd, because he obviously they kind of brushed him after we were like, oh, the Ghislaine Maxwell thing. He just disappeared. Like they were like, nah, we don't need you in the spotlight anymore because they're going to be like calling fucking red flags, right? But Dave Mahoney and Lee Dawson are, and I'll show you in the next episode. I've got clips to show you. Charlie says he's going to come to my doorstep with David Mahoney and Lee Dawson, who are both boxing, right?
Really?
So
I'm probably going to have to wait for them to turn up to mine because I think he's taking me to court at the moment as well for using his voice clip. Oh, he's taking you as well. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll see you there. We'll have a coffee before we go in.
We'll have a beer and we'll have a laugh about
it. I'm sure them guys are really willing to testify in court with their fucking track record.
Like, honestly, for the viewers and for you, look forward to seeing what I've got to show you next time about that specific thing. So, we're not been taken to court, and I don't believe. Not only does he not know where I live, I don't even believe he knows where you live.
No, he doesn't. No.
Let alone the fact that they have no legal recourse because all we're doing is showing what he's saying and saying it's bullshit, and it is bullshit. So, what are they going to sue us for? Nothing, right? So it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
It's been an eye opener, a pleasure.
I've got more to show you, Glenn, and I can't wait to see your reaction to it. I can't.
We do need to do part 2, like you say, maybe next week, and then see how it goes.
Yeah, give us. I've got my son up here next week, so I've got him next week. So we're in next week, but the following week after the 7th onwards, I'm free. I don't want to
tell you what. Let's try and do it as soon as possible because people are going to be really wanting to see this, and I'm really. But I am busy myself. I can record
on the 7th because I don't want to do it in front of my son.
Okay. All right. So next week's a no-go. You're not free this week at all.
This week, with Thursday. Oh yeah, no. I'm from tomorrow night. I'm with my son till Sunday the 6th at 5 o'clock when he goes out. I could do Sunday night.
7th. What's the 7th?
No, the 6th is Sunday. Monday's the 7th, I believe.
Okay, Monday the 7th. Let's try and do that. So guys, within the next 10 days or so, we'll get out part 2. Thank you very much, Glenn, for being a good sport and sitting through all this.
I
Thank
need a toilet as well. So.
yeah. I said to Darren, Darren and Glenn at any point, put your hands up if you need to go to the toilet or whatever. But he's waiting for the end, so I'm going to end it up really quickly. Darren, thanks for joining us. And guys, tune in for part 2 coming very soon. And yeah, follow MC Truth. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a good evening. Yeah.